We can meet up there. Yeah, you can look at it.
Check. Check 1, 2. Testing. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. Check mic 2. Check mic 2. Test 1, 2. Testing, testing. Check 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 3. Check mic 4. Check mic 4. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Test, test. Check mic 5. One, two, testing. Check, check. Check, check, check. Testing, testing. I usually. Check. Check, check, test. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Testing, testing. Check 10. Hello. Mm, 12. Check, check. Check 1, 2. Testing. Test. Check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Check, check. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 3. Testing, testing. Check 1, 2. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Check. Check, 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 check.
Everybody ready? We'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, hello, good evening. Thank you for coming out to SRU tonight. Before we start the meeting, we'd like to do a moment of silence. Athens lost a long-term chemistry teacher this past week. We'd like a moment of silence for Sigrid Wilkinson. Thank you. We're doing presentation first. We're doing presentation first. Well, no, that's okay. So, are we doing minutes first or presentation? Okay, so we'll do approval. Okay, so we'll do approval of the minutes. Can I have,
Move. So moved.
a second?
Second.
Okay, so that's a unanimous consent agenda. So we'll move on to a presentation, and tonight we have a fifth grade presentation.
All right, Mr. Collins, gonna start us off.
Okay, so Mr. Collin will start us off on the presentation.
Good evening. I just want to take a second before introducing the fifth grade team here and letting them present to say a thank you to Mrs. Deb Freeman for the mural that she painted down the hallway. If you've walked around the school, you've seen them throughout the school. But certainly that was a tremendous undertaking that she spent all summer on. She has continued to work. I know there's even been some possible 10 o'clock evenings trying to finish that up. And it's truly a masterpiece. It's something that catches everyone's eye. Students are excited to walk down that hall. So I just publicly wanted to take a moment to thank her for the hard work and all the effort put into that.
Beautiful.
And now I wanted to introduce our fifth grade team. This is a team that is different than years past. We had a retirement, we had some shifting go on. So Mrs. Russ is the only one who was previously in fifth grade. And we have added Mrs. Bardo and Mr. Novak to the fifth grade team, and they have taken on some new things this year and are really making it an exciting year for the students. So Mr. Novak, I think, is going to be the one speaking. Maybe have some student experiments going on. So here's the fifth grade team.
So fifth grade has a lot of awesome things going on this year, and it's going to be some new things and new for me. And I've been involved in education for 20 years. Never have I done some of the things we plan to do this year. I'm going to have some students in a minute come over and they're going to present, and I'm going to let them do it from without me. Unless you truly need me there, I'll be right here. The reason I'm doing that is I want them to be the presenters, to show their learning, not something that's scripted, something that they come up with. But to talk about some of the things fifth grade is going to do this year. Probably the most exciting for them right now is we're going to have a sleepover at the end. Okay, we're going to be a lock-in SRU with fifth graders, kind of as a send-off for their 6 years that they've been. I'm excited, never done it before. So it's going to be interesting no matter what, but it's going to be fun. That's one of my words I always say, right? No matter what, have fun. Another thing we're gonna be doing this year is we're gonna do a MIWI, which means meaningful watershed educational experience. I got to do one on my own a few weeks ago, and I've done them before. But we have such a great spot here in East Smithfield. Right down below the track is Tom Jack Park. And right below that is Tom Jack Creek. And what a meaningful watershed experience is, we're going to grab, nets and different tools that we're going to get through the conservation district. And we're going to see what kind of macroinvertebrates live in that watershed. And what that tells us is how healthy is our creek? Okay, if some of those macroinvertebrates are not present, there might be the presence of some kind of pollution. There could be an invasive species. I know that we found some invasive species when I was at the watershed experience, which is pretty cool. And we're going to take a day to do that. We also have the luxury of just being really close to Mount Pisgah, who also do a meeting. Some of the other things, what we've done, I'd say we've had maybe 4 Fridays to plan. The kids were given the guidance to do an academic fair. There's going to be a spotlight on what they choose to learn. What is their project? What is their end game? So they're just in the starting process, but they've been so excited. They've been doing a lot of extra work. And these brave kiddos decided that when asked, they would be glad to present in front of the board. So, and I was just telling them on the hallway, it's really easy to present in front of 10-year-olds. It's really hard to present in front of adults. So I'm really proud of them for coming in, and I'm going to be right with you. But the academic fair, they could pick any project they wanted to do, any subject, but they had to make sure that they include math, ELA, reading. They can include art, music. We can find just about every curricular area can be included in their project. So without further ado, girls, would you like to go first? They brought in like pops. It's amazing. They're ready to go. So I'm gonna be right here if you need it. If you want to this way and then and
I'm Emma. And Carmel's good too. Non-Jamie substances. Anybody else remember those old glass ketchup containers where you had to stick the knife up in there and try to get it? Well, that's when the ketchup is acting like a solid until you let it flow, and then it's acting like a liquid. So our project is on oobleck and how it's a solid and a liquid at the same time. Right here, we did water, cornstarch, and you're all invited to the academic fair if you want to. We both wanted to do a different thing and we chose to put them together. So we're gonna be doing kinetic and potential energy. And we wanted to try to figure out a way that we could model it. And we had both went to snowboards together over the summer and we both, our favorite ride was the log. So we chose to make a mini model of the log room. And we'd like to use, he said we should use Hot Wheel tracks and we can put some flex tape on the bottom of it. And we're gonna try to make it waterproof. We're gonna take a small conveyor, it might be a hand crank or a small motor, and we're gonna take a Hot Wheels car and put small balloons or the floats on the bottom. And we're gonna send it up the conveyor, and then we're gonna have a water pump that's pumping water from a bucket up into the top of the log room, and it's gonna push the Hot Wheels part down, and it's gonna go around the track and back. And then we want to take at the end we want a small like tube at the end of it, so all the water pumps right back in, and it can be a continuous.
Very nice. And you'll have this at that academic fair that we're gonna be showing it off. And when is that? Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Great job. We had Rowan, Ally, Emma, and Cadence. Thank you guys so much for coming out. You guys did a great job. And the fifth grade team, Mr. Novak, Ms. Bardo, Ms. Ross, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now to committee reports, extracurricular activities, Mr. Rude.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Superintendent items and reports, Mr. Stage.
Just real quick, fifth grade team did an excellent job. Our students are amazing. It's remarkable. I didn't know what you could do with cornstarch and water. Gonna do that as soon as I get home. Thank you to Deb Freeman as always. I think I've said thank you a billion times. Your artwork is amazing and it makes it a welcoming place. When you come out here to SRU, it's nice to see so much energy and life on the walls. And I truly think the kids love being here. It's such a great environment. Might be why I've been out here like 3 of the last 4 days. And I want to send a special thank you to Jeff Schrader, who came out and rescued my keys out of the elevator shaft on Sunday night. So, because I dropped them down the elevator shaft while I was here. So thank you to Jeff. Working on a project of my own. So incredible. Other than that, I just want to remind everybody that we're winding down the first marking period, 2 weeks before the end of the marking period. And it's incredible how fast the first marking period is went. So that's all I have. Thank you.
And I just want to backtrack. We did have an executive session prior, but we made no decisions. It was for personnel. We're going to move on. There's no blast report. MTCC, Mr. Owen.
No further update. Ms. Cooper provided an update last week. The next meeting is this Thursday. Ms. Cooper will be attending that one as well, so she'll have an update in November.
Okay. PSBA, Mr. Jones.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Solicitors, items and reports, Mr. Barrett.
I have several items. I have been working on several personnel issues, several right to know requests. And I wish to thank the board for sending me to the solicitors workshop, which was held Monday. Very informative, and I will be putting the packet together for various administrators and the board at a later date. It was just yesterday and I didn't have a chance to do it for today. It was probably one of the better sessions I've ever been to. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Moves us up to the visitor comment section on board action items only. Please give your name, address, organization which you represent, and subject matter. It is requested that comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. Excuse me. Are there any visitor comments at this time on board action items? Okay, we'll move on. Financial business. Can I have a motion to bring financial business to the table?
So moved. Second.
Okay, so financial business, we're looking at the listing of bills, the general fund checks, Berkheimer earned income tax report for September of 23, the Harlan Row Middle School account activity report for August of 23, and the JV coaching salary increase memo. Are there any questions, concerns, comments? All right. So we'll vote on this. Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
and Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Madam President, I just want to be sure under E that we are approving the JV coaching salary increase. Not acknowledging receipt of the memo, so the word memo should be crossed out of that, I think. Thank you. I may be being picky, but that's my job.
Okay, so the memo was to request the JV coaching increase. And we're voting on increasing, we voted on increasing the
Right.
salary. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to personnel items. There's an updated personnel list in your packet. We have support resignations. We have support contracts. Supplemental contracts. We have athletic resignation. We have athletic contract, it looks like for our spring sports. And then we have a list of athletic volunteers. Looks like for winter sport. And I have a motion to bring this to the table to discuss.
So move. Second.
Anyone have any questions, concerns?
Just a question on timing. I see our junior high baseball coach is resigning and we're approving the rest of the spring sports. Any idea of timing when we're going to be interviewing for the junior high baseball position?
Thank you, Michael. I think this typically starts with a conversation with the head coach. For junior high sports, yeah, the head coach is in charge of the program. So the conversation will be with him as if he has an appropriate replacement in mind.
Okay.
If not, then we will advertise and interview, hopefully well before we can get them on staff before the season starts.
All right, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
All right, we'll go ahead and vote.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Abstain.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
and Mrs. Minnick.
Yes. We'll move on to contracts and agreements. There aren't any for this evening, so we'll skip over that. Okay. The student, there is one listed here for student resolution 23-2401.
Is that in the packet?
It is not.
Yeah. It's not necessarily in your packet. We might have to talk about it in executive session because it does matter pertaining to legal.
This is the one we discussed previously.
Yeah,
So should we table this for now?
we cannot
Okay. So what do you want me to do?
adjourn us for just a minute.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn for a executive session. We'll be right back. Okay, a quick executive session for legal. We'll now need a motion and a second to bring contracts and agreements to the table.
So moved.
Second.
And this is student resolution 23-2401. See when you're ready.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
and Mr. Owen.
Yes.
Okay, that takes us to number 11 on the agenda, policies. Mrs. Smart reported out last week the multiple policies that were reviewed. So please, I need someone to make a motion, bring to the table.
So moved.
Second.
So there's multiple policies. Some of them we did for PSBA changes. And they're all first reads.
Yeah, they're all first reads, which mean they'll be back on the November agenda again. For second read and final approval.
All right, so are we voting on these or?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, comments?
I have questions just on one, and it's 247, the hazing policy, just specifically, I think it's like number 3. I mean, I can read aloud if needed, but it just mentions calisthenics as a potential, I guess, sign of hazing or criteria for hazing. Maybe there's other context here that qualifies it, but I guess,
Yeah.
is there concern with including verbiage calisthenics as being considered part of hazing?
I think that's part of the law, Michael.
Is it in
This
the
is-
law?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure it is.
there is a state code against hazing. And I think it has to be taken into context that it's used as a punishment. And it has to be brutal in nature. So it has to be excessive.
Okay.
Asking to do calisthenic is a normal thing for coaching, but if it requires, causes undue harm. Intentionally done to punish or is brutal in nature.
Got it. So like if a coach makes a kid do jumping jacks for some reason, that doesn't.
Right.
meet the-
All night, jumping jacks all night long
Right.
would be.
Got it.
Yeah,
I'm good. Then that was the only question I had.
thank you.
All right, any other questions? Great, Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
and Mr. Rude.
Yes.
Okay, number 12, curriculum and instruction. The textbook adoption that the committee reported out on last week, agricultural heavy equipment and powertrain systems. And I have a motion to bring this to the table.
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments on the textbook adoption? I think it's a great course.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, we're
Mr. Steinfeld.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we have ag teachers that are certified in case that can offer these courses.
Because they will receive credit.
Yeah. Yeah, or a certification.
All right, Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
and Mrs. Smart.
Yes. All right, number 13, transportation items. Motion to bring this to the table.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
So transportation items, we have an updated driver's list. And then you also have a copy now of the transportation bus contractor contracts for the 23-24 school year. Anyone have any questions or concerns? So these are the contracts. We have Chambers Bus Company, D&J Bus Company, Donald and Tammy Jenkins, DBA Jenkins Bus Company. Leonard Busing. Richard John. C&C Transport. The new one, isn't it? Okay. All right, there's no questions. Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
and Mr. Frisbee.
Yes.
All right, buildings and grounds. None at this time. I do again want to say thank you to Mrs. Freeman for the painting and just the homey atmosphere, Mr. Collins, that's out here is very welcoming. Good job. Any other items this time? There's none listed. That brings us to visitor comments. Please give your name, address, organization, and what you represent, subject matter. Requested that you keep the comments to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters to be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting.
Hi, I'm Jeff Green. I work here in the third year. My hand is 5 systems, training from to a kid. I just want to thank the board for allowing me to be free with my paintbrush and invite everyone to take a look at the ramp. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
We did look at it.
Fun doing it.
Yep, we looked at it right after our executive
I
session.
wasn't sure if you made it
Yeah.
down there or not. I know I took, just the thumbs down and the upstairs for a little bit. There. I do have a teacher list for this next summer already. They said, put me on your list. This is what I want around my door. So they're pretty free with what they want me to do. So, but I've enjoyed it. And I did count up all my hours. It was 333 and a half. I finished this weekend. Last weekend. But yeah, please take it when you walk down the hallway, just a little bit down the hallway. Take a look at the ramp. We didn't see it already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your dedication and your time. Okay, board communications. We have in your packet, personnel items. And transfer, what was that, transfers? And field trips. I like that this list is getting longer. The kids are getting out. All right. Future board discussion items. Anyone have anything? Future meetings, we'll have a regular session on Tuesday, November 14th. Oh, that's now, never mind. No, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, Tuesday, November 14th, and that will be at the district administration office at 7 o'clock. All committees will meet at 6:15. And then we will have a board reorganization and regular session meeting on Tuesday, December 5th. That will also be held at the district administration building at 7 p.m. and the committees will meet at 6:15. There is no need for an executive session after this. I just needed a motion for an adjournment. And a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you.